This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jeremy Wolf.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Good Neighbor Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Wolf, and today I am joined by, we have Alex Otero. Alex is with PRMG, Otero Mortgage Global, and that's OMG for short. So Alex is going to blow our mind today. He's a mortgage broker, and he's going to tell us all about what's going on with these crazy interest rates that we're experiencing. So Alex, excited to get into this today. Thanks for joining us, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jeremy. It's a pleasure to be with you and your listeners to be able to kind of dive into the wonderful world of mortgages and purchasing homes.
Oh, yeah. We love it, especially down here in South Florida with the way things are going. This is turning into such an amazing market. So much to talk about. So let's get into this. Alex, let's start off with some basics here. Tell us a little bit about PRMG and Otero Mortgage Global, and then we shall proceed from there.
Absolutely. So Paramount Residential Mortgage Group, or PRMG for short, is a nationwide top 10 direct lender that specializes only in mortgages for purchasing and refinancing. I've been a part of PRMG now for over 10 years. I have my own, within PRMG, I have my own company called Otero Mortgage Global, which is OMG, because everybody's like, OMG, you guys are great and this and that. So I'm like, Otero Mortgage Global. Okay, OMG, it works. So, and basically, once again, we specialize in mortgages, and, I've been in the industry for over 20 years now. I have a team between from my loan officers to our processors, underwriters, that we fulfill the ability of getting clients approved and into their new home.
So 20 years in the industry. 10 years ago, you you connected with PRMG, which is a franchise, correct?
Yeah, correct. Mm-hmm. I own the location here in South Florida.
So 20 years now, it's 2024. So you were in the game before 2008, leading up to that. I remember back in that time, things were insane in terms of mortgages, with obviously all the subprime loans and everything going on. I remember I had a couple friends of mine that were in the mortgage business. It was a wild, wild west, if you will, back then.
Pretty much.
So
yeah, we don't have regulations. You have programs that were allowing people to buy, with stated incomes, meaning they didn't have to verify any income. If you had a high credit score, you could buy a $500,000 house without verifying income. The types of programs that were out there were fixed adjustable. So after the fixed portion, it became adjustable. If you didn't go into a 30-year fix, you're going to hit the adjustable period. And that's where a lot of the downside of that era went in, because a lot of the mortgages became adjustable. People couldn't pay for it because the payment ballooned $800, $900, $1,500 a month. And unfortunately, the fall came, if you will.
So going back to when you started in the industry, what got you started with mortgages, and talk a little bit about the transition from that led you into getting connected with PRMG and getting into the franchise with them.
I appreciate it. So basically, I've been actually in sales since I was about 15, 16 years old, almost 27 years now, in sales in general, selling lawn service, just over the phone sales type thing. And then a friend of mine that worked in the lawn care industry with me, he jumped into the mortgages, and, he asked me, hey, why don't you come in? This place is good. So I started a mortgage company back in late 2003. And my first month, I blew up. I didn't even know what I was doing. I just got people in, talked to them over the phone, got them in. They bring me their documents, refinanced them. And my first month, I did like 15 loans. I'm like, wait a minute. And everybody's looking at me like, who's this guy? So I kind of caught a knack for it. But then 2 months later, I'm like, everything fell apart. Like I was confident, but then 2 months later, I'm like, wait, I'm not getting any loans done. Nothing's happening. And then I was about to walk away 4 months into it. And then I had a really good month, and I kind of really started understanding the grasp of it. And then I really took it in. I really understood it. And I said, wow, this is awesome. I started helping a lot of people, saving a lot of money on a monthly basis, getting themselves out of debt, putting themselves in there. And I really liked that feeling when it came out to it. So fast forward, I became a branch manager. I had my own team. We ran. And then unfortunately, 2007 came, and then the big impact in 2008 happened. And mind you, I'm just with a high school diploma, no college, no anything, just once again running sales. 2008 happened, and I find myself, I'm making a buttload of money, now making almost nothing. So I had to kind of reinvent myself. I kind of got out of the industry because I'm like, man, the mortgages destroyed my life because it made me good, but now I'm out because now I don't have any funds. My daughter was born, my second child, married and everything, and decided to go back to school. So I ended up having to do something. So I said, screw it, I'm going to go to school. And I went and got my bachelor's degree in business management at the University of Phoenix. And then I was 4 years into that. And then I said, you know what? Might as well keep going, so I took like 2 months off, and then I jumped into my master's degree with FIU, and I got my MBA. All in that time frame, I was kind of out of the mortgage industry because, of course, nothing was really happening in the industry in itself. So I was out for about 3-4 years, and then an old boss of mine, he called me up, and he's like, Alex, I started with this company, come on board. So I'm like, mortgages, okay, let me delve back into it. So I did, and sure enough, the first year was, because you had to get a license. Before, you never needed a license. Now, after the Dodd-Frank Act that was passed in 2011, all loan officers had to get a license by the state and the federal. So I just did the whole thing. First year was a loss, if you will. I didn't really do much in it. It was hard because at that point, it wasn't just making phone calls. You had to build relationships with realtors and everything. So I ended up at a university just doing admissions. When I applied for the director of admissions position, it didn't happen. And in that same time frame, I was part-time doing mortgages. And just in the part-time level, I was really doing well. I partnered up with a couple of realtors, and from that point on, it was doing awesome. But I didn't want to leave, fixed income. I had a family to provide for and everything. So I was making good money on the side doing mortgages, but I didn't want to leave that. And it wasn't until, I didn't get that director position that it kind of hit me. That was I'm going to jump off the mountain and see if I can fly, right? I had never in my whole career ever left a company not having at least a salary, something I could bring to the table. So that was my first time I went 100% commission. And of course, looking back now, it was the best decision I ever made. That was 10 years ago. I'm partners with PRMG, so I jumped into it. And PRMG is obviously a phenomenal company, very dedicated to their team, their staff, their culture. And for me, that's what has always driven me to stay with them. I've been recruited many times over by a multitude of other mortgage companies, and I've always stayed with PRMG because of the family environment. Their motto is, we're loan originators for loan originators, because they were loan originators when they started, the owners, and they understand basically what it comes down to. So for us, it was a big thing for me to stay with PRMG Mortgage. And now 10 years later, I have my own office, my own team. And thank God I've been very successful in the industry with it.
So going back 10 years to when you got involved with PRMG, what was the biggest challenge that you face transitioning from, working for somebody else to starting your own business, becoming an entrepreneur? And what is the biggest reward having done that now, sitting here 10 years later?
For me, it was just the not knowing. To take a leap like that and just kind of fend for yourself ongoing. I give kudos to everybody who's an entrepreneur, everybody who works for themselves. That's not an easy task. You got to go to bed on your own self-discipline, your own self-motivation, whether you're feeling it or not, you got to still provide. So it's a phenomenal feeling after you get past the beginning initial stages, because the initial stage is always going to create fear, right? Because you don't know, the unknown.
Fear of the unknown.
Fear of the unknown. And if you stick to your guns, if you stay consistent, that for me was the biggest part, is I stayed consistent and I didn't give up. I started building more relationships. But I think for me, the success really comes down to, Jeremy, is creating the relationships and just having the correct and the best customer service you can. I'm proud to say today, 10 years into it, I'm 100% referral based. I don't have to buy leads, if you will, get clients. Everything that comes my way comes from referral based on the type of customer service my team and I provides, the service that we engage in, most importantly, the availability. My family got used to, of course, me working 7 days a week, all hours. I'm up at 6 a.m, sometimes going to bed on phone calls at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, because it is what it is. At the end of the day, it's there to service my clients and being available. And that's what's got me to that success. For me, 10 years ago, it was a big challenge, like anything else you start. But in the long end, that's where you're going to really see the benefits, just sticking with it. And I'm proud to say I'm here with you on a podcast talking about mortgages and everything. So phenomenal.
Yeah, happy to have you here. So with that said, what is going on right now? I know that interest rates seem to be coming down. to some degree. We just went through a surge. Things have gotten a little crazy. What's going on? What's your prediction? What do you see coming next 6 months, 12 months into the future? Give us pull out your crystal ball, if you will. I always ask this to realtors.
Let's do it.
The crystal ball. Tell me what's going on with the market. Then later on, we can look and see if anybody's predictions were right.
So what ends up happening, of course, is, for the last, and that's one thing that those entering the market to buy a house, they only hear from their neighbors and everybody a 2%, 3% rate, right? So if they didn't know that was like the norm, of course. Unfortunately, it's not. Being in the industry, once again, in general, 20 years, the average interest rate actually over the last 40 years is 7%. Leading up, I don't want to go too far back, but leading up to 2018, 2019, 2020 to the pandemic era, it was about 6%, 5.5% to 6%, 6.5% in certain cases. And that was norm. That was a normal rate. So of course, when rates dropped down to 2-3%, obviously it was a flurry. That's why we had such a huge spike in real estate. That's why property values have escalated to the highest point ever in residential history. And of course, what goes up must come down. So of course, the fact that rates were the lowest, that unfortunately affected the Fed because they kept the rates too low for too long, hence why we had a massive increase in inflation. So of course, because of that, they had to increase the rates threefold. And that's why we had rates increasing late 22 and then all of 23. And we're seeing 8% rates that we haven't seen in many, many years. And now it's starting to come down. And it's coming down, of course, because inflation's coming down. Fed Chairman Powell just came out last Wednesday in reference to being able to reduce rates in March. Unfortunately, they don't plan on it. However, the initial projection was going to be that rates are going to be dropping down this year at least 6 times. Now, when they're going to do it, it's still to be determined, but that's still the projection in the plan. So rates will be continually coming down. And one thing we always have to look for is that when rates are low, it's a great time to buy. And that's understandable because, of course, that's when people want to take advantage. But my message is that don't worry about the rate. Worry about your house. Buy a home. I mean, you got people that have interest rates right now on their credit cards at 18%. You have people with car payments at 10%. So you're going to have rates no matter what a high amount you're going to pay it. The beauty about real estate is that it has appreciation, especially here in South Florida. You're going to have a lot of appreciation when it comes to value. All those people who bought in 2018, 2019, 2020, they're loving life right now because their property appreciated easily 30 to 40% in the last few years. I'm one of them. So it's just one of those things where you have such an opportunity to be able to have an asset. The rate you could always eventually refinance. We're going to have a refinance boom toward the end of this year into next year and going into 2026 because rates are projected to go down back to at least 4.5 to 5.5%, by at least 2026. So we're going to have a refinance boom. So all of those homeowners and buyers in the market right now, don't worry about the rate. Buy your home. You're going to buy it at the lowest level now because when rates drop down, what's going to end up happening? Property values are going to go up, right? Because you're going to have more of a demand. So sellers are going to be selling their property, you're going to have more competition and all that. So the best time is to buy now. The best time was to buy a year ago. The best time was to buy 4 years ago. The point is, it's always a good time to buy. Don't let interest rates affect your decision on buying because trust me, you're not going to be on that rate for 30 years. Like I said, I've been in it, in the industry overall 20 years. The average homeowner has kept their same mortgage between 4 to 6 years. The average homeowner has kept their same home between 7 and 10 years. The point is that no one keeps a mortgage or mortgage rate for 30 years. You want to take advantage of the actual house and buy your own home, especially those who are renting. Imagine getting that knock on the door, Jeremy, and saying, hey, I'm the landlord. My life has changed. Unfortunately, I need you guys to be out of the house in the next 30 days. And then now you got to pick up your family and you got to now move out and find another place. Try not to. I mean, it's not easy for everybody. I'm not going to deny that. But if you have the means, if you have the capabilities, you have the assets to buy, you have the credit, you have the income, make the call. Make the call, start looking, make a call to your realtor, make a call to your loan officer, start looking into options of being able to purchase because don't let that rate, I'm going to wait till rates go down. You'll be waiting forever.
Good luck trying to time the market. I mean, between the interest rates and the real estate value, I mean, nobody knows which way it's going. So that's why I ask about the crystal ball, it's kind of tongue in cheek because we don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, with hindsight, looking back, you're like, oh yeah, obviously. But yeah, that's a good point, right? You just find, if you're looking to, I mean, at least if you're not buying properties for investment purposes, but you're looking to like buy a house that you're going to live in with your family, look for the property that you fall in love with, look for the thing that you have an emotional connection with. It's about the experience of living there, the long-term investment. And so, yeah, I agree. I've heard that a lot from mortgage brokers and realtors alike. And I don't think it's just a sales pitch to get more properties bought and sold. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. We're saying the same thing for a reason, because we're in the industry, right? If your doctor's telling you, hey, you got to take this medication, that medication to feel better, you know, you're going to probably want to do it because we know how it looks and everything. And from the, you know, remember, we deal with multitude of different clients, different arenas, different potential buyers and realtors. So we know basically what's out there, what's coming. And no matter what, we're going to be able to help you get into a house where you're going to be able to get finance and you're going to be better off no matter what. No matter how you look at it, whether you have a 7.5% rate or a 6% rate, yeah, your payment's going to be a little lower, but those with the 7.5% rate can always refinance. And that's the key.
So shift gears for a moment here. I know that when we first spoke, you were telling me about a little bit of background that you have in radio. You were doing a radio show. Can you talk a little bit about that? And I think you were also active with the church. Tell us a little bit about what you do there.
Yeah, so I've been part of my parish, Our Lady of Lourdes, down in Kendall, for over 20 years now. I was just a parishioner, just going in, and then you know, through my education, through my experience, the Monsignor asked me to join the finance committee. I'm also a lector. You know, I like to do readings as well on Sundays. And also I'm MC, as they call it, Master of Ceremony, that helps all the altar servers and everything. So very big part of my church. We just had a carnival this past weekend. It's our annual festival that we do. So I was on Radio Paz. Coincidentally, when I was talking to you, I was on Radio Paz and I was doing an interview with them that morning for about 2 hours, just talking about the festival, talking about, you know, community, basically bringing everybody together, wholesome community. We had different countries that go in and they actually serve food. You know, we had Colombia, we had Peru, we had the Philippines. You know, we had a multitude of different countries, you know, feeding everybody there at the carnival. It's a great place. And I was one of those, it's basically not in charge, but helping, I should say, regarding the sponsorships. So I was also helping in regards to sponsorships, because of course it's important to help sponsor the festival as well. So it was a great interview for 2 hours. I was speaking to a Monsignor who runs the Radio Paz channel, and it was a great time being able to do that. And I do different types of podcasts, I do different types of interviews as well, because I think it's important to get the message out there to those listening, so they have a better understanding on how we're able to grow. I've gotten a lot of my information listening to podcasts. I got a lot of my information just reading people's personal stories and their personal histories. And I come to find out, Jeremy, we're all the same. We walk different paths of life, but at the end of the day, we all want the same. And it's to, you know, to make good money, to have, you know, a loving family, to be with people, to be friends, family overall, and just to be in community at the end of the day. And no matter what career your path is in, it's just always about helping. Because no matter what, everything we do is helping others. And that's what I think motivates myself and those who work around me. And those I know, we always want to help everybody around us.
Absolutely. So, Alex, before we wrap up here, please share with our listeners, anybody out there that's listening that would like to learn more, maybe has some questions, maybe looking to get that first home and looking for a good lender to work with. How could they reach you and how can they learn more?
Yeah, you can always come to our website. Basically, I'll give that in a second, but Otero Mortgage Global, PRMG, I'm a different kind of breed when it comes down to it, because availability. Like I said earlier, I'm 100% referral based because of what I've done. All the homes I've helped clients go into and purchase, all the realtors. It's all about transparency. And when you're buying a house, it's not like buying a car. You know, you have a lot of money on the line. You want to make sure you make the right decision. But what you never want to do is go with the lender just because they're offering the better rate. Because rate, like I said, doesn't always matter. It's always about the service. I always use this joke, you know, those wine drinkers and everything. If you buy cheap wine, you're going to wake up with a headache, right? So you always want to make sure you're getting a high caliber referral person that's going to be able to walk through you, walk with you throughout the whole entire process, because it is a detailed process, a lot of underwriting, a lot of processing that you got to do. So I'd always advise those, look for a lender like myself, my team, where we're going to be available to you, answering any questions. I'm on the phone sometimes an hour and a half, just educating. Not even, I don't sell anymore. I just educate. Here's the information. Here's what you have. This is what it is. You make the educated decision on which direction you want to go. And that at the end of the day is what we come down to. Just educating our clients on being able to go on the right path. Sometimes they're ready now. Sometimes they're ready in the future. But the beauty about what we do is that we prepare our clients. We prepare them to be able to purchase, because not everybody is ready to buy in the next 30 days, but they will be able to buy in the next 6 months if I help them how to increase their credit scores, or what kind of income they're going to need, or how much they're going to need, the amount of assets or deposit, if you will, down payments, closing costs, everything like that. So you could always reach us. We're at OMG Lend on social media, through Facebook and on Instagram. And then, of course, I have my website as well. We have PRMG actually have a website here. And basically, our website, I'll go through it as much. I'll send you the link. I don't know if you can put it on, but I'll send you the link for our website. Also, you could be able to and go into that as well. Yeah. And basically, we help everybody nationwide. We specialize, of course, in the state of Florida, and we do every type of program, from investor program, DSCR programs, bank statement loans, foreign national loans, of course, the traditional VA, FHA, and conventional loans as well. And at the end of the day, it's always important to have options. And give us a call, and we could definitely look at some options for you.
All right, brother. We will, of course, link in the description to all of your contact information. So, Alex, pleasure having you on the show, brother. It was nice getting a chance to meet you and learn about what you do for our great community. So, again, thanks so much for joining us.
Will do. Thanks, Jeremy, for having me. Appreciate it, man.
Now it's our pleasure. Thanks to our listeners for tuning in, and we will catch everyone next time. Everyone have a great day and take care.
You too.
Thanks for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast, Cooper City. To nominate your favorite local business to be featured on the show, go to gnpcoopercity.com. That's gnpcoopercity.com, or call 954-231-3170.